Hey there hunters, welcome back to the Gunners Guild. Today we have the first significant patch for Remnant 2 that I want to talk about and share some more info on. So sit back and hang out for a minute, thanks. So first though, as a heads up, this is a PC only patch right now. I believe the console is due in like 1 or 2 days, but don't quote me on that. And according to the devs on their Discord, there is supposed to be another more gameplay focused patch soon. So this is more of like a performance and bugs fix patch. Anyway, the patch notes are in the description below if you want to check them out, but I'm going to talk about some of the highlights and then kind of move on from there. So, at the top of the list here is performance fixes, and I've actually not had very many issues with the game's performance personally, but I guess some people have, so this patch was meant to help out some of the lower end specs, but I've also heard that people who are running the big beefy 3090s and 4090s are seeing much worse performance. Again, I've not had these issues, but those 4 series cards just don't seem to like Remnant 2. I hope the game runs better for everyone else though who is looking for a boost. And of course there's going to be more performance fixes in the future, that's like one of their top priorities. But next we have the quality of life changes, and they are not joking around about the quality of life. 5 more traits is kind of huge in my opinion. It lets us squeeze in potentially 1 more good trait into a build if we kind of had archetype points into them anyway. Also, infinite respec is a nice change since it'll lessen the demand for scrap. And now you can dual archetype always, which is a really great feature to have, since you can acquire multiple archetypes pretty quickly if you wanted to. And now you don't have to wait till you get 10 trait points to unlock it, you just go right into dual spec if you wanted to. And then some other things here, just some more scrap gain, but overall good stuff all around. Continuing on, we have some archetype changes. Explorer buffs are lasting 5 more seconds, which is cool, always want more Explorer buffs, I love Explorer. And then we have a lot of Archon changes. Okay, so the deal with Archon was that Havoc form before could stack attack speed off of skill speed and basically get infinite lightning bolt attack speed, so you could dump like 45,000 damage in a second, and they fixed that thankfully. And by fixed, I mean they removed it basically. So Havoc form still scales with attack speed, but it's not like this weird negative coefficient that it was before. Now it's like 100% equals double damage, which is, still pretty good. But also remember, you do have Flash Caster on, so you do technically start with 50%, so that's kind of like the normal. They also doubled the damage of the lightning fingers, so that's pretty cool. And then of course you must be thinking, oh man, they doubled the damage, it's gotta be doing insane damage still. And, well, no. I mean, it's not bad. You went from doing infinite damage to doing about 2 to 2.3k when you're fully invested into skill damage, so yeah. Challenger also has a minimum 10% damage bonus now when it's outside of ideal range, so that's something I suppose, can't hate on that. Handler's damage perk now goes out to 40 meters, and if you don't know what that means, basically Handler's damage perk is ranged in skill damage, but only if you're within 25 meters of your active dog. So if the dog got away from you or died somewhere, you lost the damage buff. 40 meters is significantly longer, I just kind of wish they removed that condition on the damage perk altogether. But dog and summons also got a lot more health now, and I already went and tested the summons in Apocalypse, and yeah, they can live a lot better in a fight. It's still not going to be like a zero maintenance minion, but hey, they can take a few blows from world bosses on Apocalypse, which is honestly the most you could probably ask for. Now if only we can fix their damage. Then we have some item changes, though there's nothing significant. Nightfall got a slight nerf, and I mean slight nerf. It's got some reduced rate of fire in both standard and mod mode, which is nothing really. It's still like the second best weapon in the game post nerf, and still what most normies are going to be running most of the time. The gun's not dead, people, stop crying about it. We also have the other inevitable nerf with Enigma. Too good at AoE and bursting through zones, we all knew it, it's crazy strong. Rip Enigma. From here on, we can scroll through a lot of bug fixes. Most of it's all like vendor rewards and challenge rewards related, not being just distributed and stuff like that, so those should work now. However, do note that you will need to clear the game again to trigger most of those properly this time. I know that sounds awful, but I mean, come on, it's Remnant, you're going to be going through the game a lot, just do it again. Now onto the archetype bug fixes, and there are quite a few interesting things to note here. First is that Huntress Focus is now granting its weak spot bonus. I wasn't using this before because it's supposed to grant 25 ranged and weak spot damage, but was only doing the ranged damage. So now that works properly, so I may swap my builds that were using Huntress Mark back to Huntress Focus. Also, Huntress Shroud, previously the strongest skill in the game because it had the only source of multiplicative damage, also got fixed to go back to being additive damage. And what that means is that before, it had a 50% damage buff that when you shoot from Shroud. And this should and now behaves like a flat 50% damage as if it was coming from like a ring or anything else. It just adds to your range damage bonus pool. But before, it was actually multiplying all your range damage straight up by 50% post other modifiers. It was crazy, and it'll let you hit giant numbers like 16 to 28k on some single shot weapons. So that's fixed, and now Huntress Focus is largely the better skill if you can sustain it. The Invader's Shark perk is now working again, which is awesome. It didn't do anything before. I haven't played much Invader since it basically had no damage perk, but now we can do some crazy Invader nonsense. And then lastly, they fixed the bug where summons scaling damage off of haste ring, so between that and more HP, summons appear to be back on the menu. And that's pretty much all the main points of the patch, but there were a few other things that were left out that should be addressed in the next couple weeks. First is that everyone knows the Stone of Malevolence bug currently generates way too much mod power, so I've been kind of avoiding mod power builds right now and wanting to see if it would get fixed this patch. Unfortunately, it didn't. Even so though, I'm going to try and toy around with some mod power builds and just not use Stone of Malevolence for the time being, just to kind of see how they do and function, because there's no point in making builds around a bug, right? But yeah, so you can expect some mod builds from me in the near future, especially now that Archon's actually all working. The second thing I wanted to mention is that the damage reduction stacking is also kind of not fixed. There were some changes made to the damage reduction system that prevented players from being immortal and bypassing the 80% damage reduction cap. But now I think people are complaining that armor feels significantly less effective, so that's probably a work in progress. I don't really know what's going on over there, but people are kind of complaining about that. So I guess I'm not going to make any tanky builds for now. And lastly, the engineer should be getting a bug fix / nerf soon. Overclock shouldn't count as a skill since it's technically a prime perk, so you shouldn't be able to increase the duration or reduce the cooldown of overclock on engineer through like skill items and traits. Again, it's not a skill, it's a prime perk that just happens to be attached to the skill. You can't reduce dog revive cooldown, so it's the same thing. Shouldn't be able to reduce overclock cooldown. So I expect that to get changed in the future, which is going to be kind of a sad day for engineers, which is also kind of why I've been avoiding engineers right now. Anyway, that's it for the patch today, and there will be some others soonish, hopefully in the next week or two, so stop using those exploits and get used to playing the game right. But thank you all for watching, and special thank you to my Patreon members, always appreciate you guys, but peace and good luck out there.